Barney's version never took the bait that is the Academy Awards, and in doing so became unique but obscure.
Canada be damned. I'm going to the Klondike.
The Klondike is Canada.
Giorgio, you be doing just fine, brother.
I've loved movies as far back as I can remember. Over the years, my tastes have changed or evolved as I've matured. Some films have always had a soft spot in my heart, whereas others have been left by the wayside. Nevertheless, my passion for cinema has never abated on the whole. But in the past 15 years or so, I've consciously been checking in with myself as to whether or not my trajectory is leading me down the path to becoming a full-blown film snob. How I'd identify that is a little tricky, but like a lot of people, I'd say part of it has to do with art house films and critics with opinions they deem are above others.
Cut! How's that?
Appallingly bad.
Great. Moving on.
I bring this up because this week's video essay is on the 2010 adaptation of the acclaimed Mordecai Richler novel, Barney's Version. On the face of it, Barney's Version has all the trappings of a true Oscar bait film. But in the spirit of a true independent film, Barney's Version goes a little too far, in a good way, outside the strict and narrow boundaries of what's worthy of Oscar recognition.
So, we're shaking down a rub and tug, but I never bust the girls because they provide a valuable service, but, we do it for appearances. Anyway, we're doing our thing, and one of the clients, this crazy Hungarian Nazi, loaded on Slivovitz, starts going apeshit, comes at me with a chair, and I swear to God, a hard-on the size of a can of hairspray.
But before we get into what I mean by that, a little background on the story itself. Barney's Version follows the story of Barney Panofsky, a miserable Canadian television producer played by Paul Giamatti.
What language is this?
This proves what I'm really worth to the foreign market.
Well, I will give this my utmost attention.
Now in his golden years, Barney looks back on his adult life and recounts all that he's experienced, good and bad. Between both his family and friends, Barney's account of his life is on display in how those around him weave in and out of his story, and how Barney decides to deal with them.
Oh, Barney. You really do wear your heart on your sleeve. Now put it away. It's disgusting to look at.
Barney, where are you going? Wait.
Some of them throw up roadblocks in Barney's life, whereas with others, Barney throws up roadblocks for them. Either way, it's a messy journey which is not straightforward on the road to love and the ultimate pursuit of happiness.
Miriam, I'm on the heels over head completely.
Don't be ridiculous. We just met. At your wedding. It's not funny. Barney, get off the train.
I cannot believe that this really happens. It really happens. Just like that.
To say that Barney's Version isn't straightforward is perhaps underselling it. I'm not saying the narrative is difficult to follow, but rather things aren't starkly black and white. As our protagonist, Barney isn't by any means wholesome. He makes some terrible, reprehensible decisions, yet that isn't the sum of who he is. Yes, he can be selfish, but he also has his moments where he puts others before himself. His words and actions aren't strictly self-serving, and it is that mix which, when all is said and done, makes Barney feel simply human.
I'm gonna need you to testify that I came home to you in bed with my wife.
Hey, listen, man, will you testify for me or not?
I'll think about it.
You know what? I think that it's time that you came through for me for once.
When I had nothing, I borrowed for you, man. You owe me.
As for a genre, Barney's Version also isn't easy to pin down to one category. For the most part, it reads like a drama, but in the earlier stages of the film, it reads like a comedy at times.
The chicken is great.
It's fish.
No shit.
It's not until we get further into the film do the dramatic elements become more prominent and potent.
Like a school kid waiting for spring. I'm just sitting here waiting.
You did good, boy chicken.
And turn me on.
This transition is so gradual and discreet over time, it leaves the impression of having lived Barney's life in tandem with him. If it were strictly a drama, Barney's version probably would have felt 100% Oscar-bound. But by being in the unusual gray zone, Barney's version feels more genuine and authentic, because it's not following the Oscar blueprint we're used to seeing. In terms of casting, Barney's version screams Academy Awards. Aside from Giamatti, heavy hitters like Dustin Hoffman, Minnie Driver, and Rosamund Pike are among some of the big names which make up the film's cast. Some of them cater more towards the comedic side than the dramatic, but when they do need to bring that award-worthy performance, it's apparent why they're there, and how they contribute to the themes that encapsulate Barney's version in its entirety.
I want one thing from you.
Anything.
Don't answer anything. Because it's not real, and life's real. It's made up of little things. Minutes, hours, naps, errands, routine. And it has to be enough.
And being set in Canada and speaking as a Canadian, it's so refreshing to see Canadians play Canadians for a change. This can be witnessed with Scott Speedman, Bruce Greenwood, as well as some Canadian cameos, including Canada's sexy gross domestic product.
Oh, thank you, nurse.
Thank you for landing us safely, Constable.
Hopefully the weather will be more forgiving the next time I pass through.
Well, you can be sure my landing strip will always be clear for you.
Just like an independent film, Barney's version does things its own way. Its deviation from the Oscar mold in certain regards may be what kept it out of the running, but it's better off for it. Not everything in Barney's version is either this or that. That limbo which it resides in may also be the very thing that divides mainstream audiences and film snobs alike from accepting it. Barney's version never sought approval, and in doing so captured a slice of life which rings truer than those films which strive for it. It's doing its own version of this type of film, and I'd have it no other way.